Okay, everybody, welcome back here. Here's where we stand. We got the head part of this completed, right? We got the inspire, create, play looking good. And I believe I copied most of the other styles into this already, right? So we were kind of working on the main before, and then we realized we had to fix that problem in the navigation before proceeding. So we kind of did that at the end of the last exercise, and now we're ready to move forward on this main. So I did just notice that this margin from the top might not be working as well as we want, so maybe I'm going to increase that a little bit. So maybe let me push this up to 10, right, and see how that works out. And that's looking a little better, okay? So now, once again, we have this sort of unordered list model, okay? So we have this UL. Now the width is actually 550. So this is something to keep in mind too. Whenever you're doing a mobile responsive design, you should start to move away from absolute fixed values, okay? Because that's not going to translate well into smaller devices. So first things first is I'm going to take this width and I'm going to make this be 100%, okay? Which is always a smart thing to do, okay? And then we're going to move forward and we're going to do, let's see, we did 100%. I'm thinking that the 90 pixels high is not going to be enough, right? So I think I will make that be, I want to make it 100% as well, okay? And margin, I'm going to center it, okay? Maybe I should make this less, but let me feel it out, okay? We're going to get rid of the list items, that's fine. Padding on the left, make it 0, that's great. Don't need the PX on that. So these two guys could get inherited, and it should be fine. Okay, actually this too can get inherited. Right, so we just changed the width and the height of it. And then each of the LIs, now we're not going to float them to the left because we want this to be vertical, not horizontal, right? So we're going to say float none, right? And then here we have a margin all around on each one of 7 pixels. That's probably going to have to change, okay? So that's something we're going to keep in mind in a few minutes. Here we have this anchor. We're going to also do display block on that. The widths and the heights of those are 90 each. That is also going to change, okay? Because we're swapping out the graphics, okay? So we're going to need to make those be, I don't know. I don't remember what those graphics are. So let's look at them. So I have a folder in our example here called scaled. And if I look at the classical here, they're 43 by 43. So I'm going to do 45 by 45 for my actual boxes, right? So I'll make the width of this be 45 and the width of this be 45, okay? And then what I'll do is I'll swap out all these images. So right here we have, I'm just going to navigate to this first one here, right? And we have what URL parenthesis images, and then we have another folder in here called scaled. There it is. And the first one is electronic, okay? And then the file names are the same, so I'm just going to copy this path here. I'm going to say edit, copy, and I'm just going to paste it over all of these by pressing Commands V on my keyboard, right? Like so. And I'm not sure if that's right. We're going to have to look at that, okay? And that's fine. And then finally we have 2 left here. And this as well. Okay, we should probably do the over ones too, just to keep it consistent. Even though, like I said before, the over ones aren't really going to matter, okay? Because basically you can't hover over an image on a mobile device, okay? So it's not going to really be too important, all right? So let me just give that a save here, right? And let's see what that gives us. Oh, it's not bad. Okay, it looks like I got the first one wrong. Something's messed up with it. So let's go look at that really quick. Where is it? It's the electronic. Oh, I forgot to put the semicolon. Therefore, it's not picking it up. Okay. So yeah, so there's those now. And they look pretty good. Okay. It looks like there's not enough space, but once we get rid of that footer information, that's going to go. So let's just make our lives a little better here. What I will do is I'll go down to the bottom here, and I'm just going to say footer. We don't need any of this, right? We're just going to say display none. That's going to get rid of our footer, right? And now you should see something similar to that. Okay, so that's not looking too bad. I think my background image isn't scaling right, but we'll look at that too. Okay. Now the next step here is going to be to make this text visible, right? So here's my mobile mockup. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to make this text visible. Now, if you remember from the first video, we actually put these text elements in. So what I want to do is, first things first, we have this main span. Now, if you remember, the way we did this was we went in and we used kind of a sprite technique to say, okay, let's put a background image on the LI, right, with this class, this ID called electronic, and then we'll make it a link, and then we'll put a span tag in and put the word electronic. And I explained before how this is good for SEO, search engine optimization. It's also good for, because the fact when you have a link, you have to have something that's clickable. And since the image is a background image, when you put it in with a style, that's not really a clickable thing. So in essence, this method is going to allow us to actually change this image. So that's kind of what we're doing right here. Okay, but we have this span set to display none. So now what I want to do is I want to set this up as display block in the mobile site. Okay, and when we do that, you're going to see those words all appear. Okay, and that's a beautiful thing. So what we need to do here now is we kind of need to say, okay, so now all the words appear. What happens if I push them out a little bit? Right, so now the question is, where do we want to do that, right? So what if I go in, and I'll try it on the span. Maybe I'll do it very universal, right? So what if I went over here on the span and I said margin dash left, and I'll make that be, I don't know, let's try 100 pixels. Let's just see what we get here. Okay, so now you see how the words are all now floating out here, right? That's kind of what we want, right? And if I said font, sorry, it's not font, just color, and we'll say FF, they'll all be white. Okay, now they're all white, okay? And then if I say size, or let's suppose I say here, we got to do a margin from the top. Well, let me make the font size first, okay? So what we'll do is we'll go here and we'll say font size, and I'll make it, we did 20, we'll do 18 points for that. Okay, and then we'll say font family, and we will do impact. Okay. Now, that's going to get us something like this. Okay, and we're getting there, right? But what I also have to do is, you notice how my LI isn't long enough, right? So I'm kind of doing this all on the span. But what I do need to do is I need to go up to the LI tag here. I have a margin of 7 on these. I got to give these widths. So let me have a width of, let's say 50%, right? And let's see how that works out. Not so bad, right? So maybe I'll make it 80%, right? That's working out a little better, okay? Now this R&B is still breaking up, but I'll deal with that as we get to it, okay? Let's make these caps, okay? I'm sorry to keep jumping around, but this is the way you do this, okay? So I have here, I'm working on this span, right? So let's do a text decoration, right? And we'll say uppercase, right? That's going to make my, no, it's not text decoration, sorry. It's text transform. I always mix that one up, okay? And and we're going to make that be uppercase, right? So now let's just take a peek at that real quick. Okay, that's looking better. Okay. Not sure why the R&B is breaking, so I may need to look at that one. Let's go to the R&B real quick. R&B. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. So I gotta look at this a little bit and figure out why the R&B is breaking. So let me see what I have here. So there's that navigation. I'm gonna just do this in so you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna do this in yeah. So here we are. There's main, right? And we'll say there's the H1. It's looking good. There's the list, right? Hip hop, R&B. So why is R&B different? So let's see. So let's do R&B. And okay. The only thing I see is the spaces. I wonder if that's throwing it off. Can't really say for sure. But let's look at this close and see if we can come to terms with why it's breaking the line like that. Okay. So let's see if there's anything. So let's see. I have my background images. No repeat. That's not doing anything. Float none. Width is 80%. And then yeah, I'm not seeing anything there. I got my font size coming from the body. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that would make it break. So what I am going to do, and it's like I said, sometimes things will show up in the mobile version that don't even affect the web version, right? So that being said, let's go back to my style here, and I'm going to look at main, right? So let's see, here's main. I didn't put anything on main, right? Maybe I just want to see what I'm working with. I'm going to put a border of 1 pixel, solid, and red. Okay, and now I see that there's what I'm working with. Okay, it's pretty big. It actually looks like it goes off the screen. So what if I change the width on main? So let's make a width. And I'll make it, I don't know, let's try to do 250 pixels. See how we feel about it. Okay, that's not bad. But what if I now center this? So what if I did 80%, right? Okay, right? And then I did a margin 0 and auto. That should center it, right? That's not looking bad. Okay, just that R&B is off. Not sure why. Okay, so what I would need to do, I would need to go and, oh, maybe this is it. Hold on. Look at this. I wasn't even thinking. Look what I got here. Main UL is 100%. That's wrong. If I have main at 80%, that can't be 100%. Well, it could be 100% of that, but what if I made that 80% as well? Right? That looks better. Okay? See how it's starting to become centered? Okay? That's looking good. All right. So next thing I probably want to do is I want to figure out this R&B problem. So that's going to have me go into the HTML. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to say R&B, and I'm going to see if that helps, right? So we'll save that, and I'll go. You see, that's what it was. It's the spaces. Okay, and you know what it is? I noticed this before, that in brackets it threw me an error, right? Because to put an ampersand in, you actually need to use a control character, right? And I didn't do that. I just put it in, so it's kind of giving me grief. But so taking out those spaces in R&B will fix that problem in the HTML. Okay, but as you can see, this is starting to look pretty good. I do want to tighten it a bit though. So what I am going to do is I am going to go back into my style here, and let me go down to the bottom of this. Here's all these areas here, right? So I have these on the span. What did I make the margin left? Why do I have a margin left on the span? Maybe that's a little too big. Yeah, maybe that's too big, right? So what if I made that? Let's see what happens if I make it 10. Oh yeah, that's what I need. Okay, so that's what's throwing it off. Okay, So let's make that more like, just try 75. Right, so we trim off 25 pixels. Okay, it's closer. I'm going to do 50. That's looking good. And then on the UL, on the top, I'm going to go in. Alright, I have a width and a height on here. I'm going to change this. And I'm going to make this be a width of 80%, which is fine. I'm going to put a margin on the top. And I'm going to say, let's do 75 pixels. Right? Ooh, 75 is way too much. 50? Alright, that's not bad. Maybe I'll do the, make this bigger. So we'll make this be 25. Okay. And then I have this. Maybe we want to open these up. So let's see. We have each of the LIs, right? Have a margin of 7 all around. What if I made that 17? Oh, that's spreading it out. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay. All right, I'm getting pretty close here. So what I am going to do is I am going to turn off that margin I have here. Now I have a border on here somewhere. I think I put it on main. Main, there it is. So we don't need that, right? That's just there to help me see it. Okay. I'm just trying to visualize everything. Right? And this is all looking pretty good. The one thing you do want to do, okay, is here we have this, right? So when you have a hover on a phone, you don't want to have it actually trigger the hover event, right? And on a touch device like a phone or a tablet, that could be triggered inadvertently. So what I do recommend doing is just make the hover image the same as the main image, so to avoid any triggering occurring. So take out all the overs, and you do got to put it because it does have to override it, right? So all these overs we're going to get rid of, right? Okay, and this is looking pretty good so far. We're almost done, I think. Right, so that means we made them all basically the same. Right, so there we go. Right? Now I am a little, my background image is still a bit off. Okay, but I'm not so sure that that's the problem of the, let's see, I want to try it in, look at an iPhone 5. Okay, so in an iPhone 5 it looks pretty good. Okay, because in, when you look at this in mobile view in Chrome, you have profiles. So you pull this down, you can look at a straight responsive mode, but you also have these profiles, right? So for example, if I look at the iPhone 6, that looks good, right? 6 Plus still looks good. I probably want to deal with this stuff. Maybe open that up a little bit, right? Let's look at the Nexus. Looks okay. 5X, that looks okay too. And the Galaxy looks okay too. Right, and then back to responsive. Okay, this responsive one is a little small, but I think I can live with it. Okay, so I'm going to keep looking at it in a 5. All right. I did notice that as I went into like iPhone 6, I started getting a lot of negative space on the bottom. So maybe the space in between these two guys I want to make more a percentage. Right, so what I would do is maybe go here and say, all right, well, we have, let's see, so here's the LI, right? And I have a margin of 17 pixels all around, right? So that's fine, but maybe what I'll do is I'll say margin dash bottom, and I'll make it be 15%, right? If I can spell margin right. All right, so we'll save that. And then, it's not really doing much, right? So, oh, sorry, that's wrong. I gotta put a semicolon, okay? Oh, that's a little better, okay? What if I made it 20? So I get that full, yeah, that's looking pretty good, okay? So now I have this extra 20, right? So if I'm looking at it 6, if I go back to 5, right, it still fits. If I go back to my initial responsive, well, that's gonna kind of throw it off a little bit, okay? But that's because if I really wanted to, I could get rid of this, right? So if I got rid of this, so if I just made this, what if I just got rid of it? that's going to go back to the original 7 that will be inherited, right? Okay, so that's not bad, right? Look at the nexus. It's not bad at all. I still think I'd want to play with the alignment of this of it. It looks a bit off. So I'd probably want to do main. What do I have on main here? I have a width of 80%, and I have it centered. Let me see how that, let me throw a margin on that. Seems like I might be inheriting something that I'm not anticipating here. So let's look at that. All right, so that's pretty evenly balanced. It's, you know what it is? That's all good, but I need to do that on the UL. Right, so I have a margin top here, and I have to say, I have width at 80%, right? So I gotta say margin let's do this. We're gonna do margin top, right? That's 50 pixels. Let's actually just leave that. And then what we'll do is above this, we'll put margin 0 px and auto. Don't need the px, sorry. And then we'll immediately override that and add a 50 pixel margin on the top. So that's a lot better, right? Okay, so you'll see here, just the UL, if I throw a border on there of 1 pixel solid and white, okay, you can see that's that. Now if I made this width smaller, right, so here's the width is 80%, what if I made it 70%? You see how that's starting to be centered a little better, right? So maybe I'll make it 60%. That's looking a little better. That's what we're talking about, okay? So now basically, I've chiseled this out in such a way that I can get these borders out that I've been using. So take out the red one, take out that one. File, we'll save it all, okay? Let's bring this on the screen here, okay? So now, what I'll do is I'll turn that off. Okay, so there's my original. Let's just close that out. There's my original, right? It's looking okay. Right, and then if I take it in and I open up the developers tools again and I bring it back into mobile view, that's how it's going to look on a mobile device. Okay, that's how it's going to look on the Galaxy S5. That's how it's going to look on the iPhone 6. That's how it's going to look on the 6 Plus. And that's how it's going to look iPad. Clearly goes back to the original because we didn't write a special query for that. Same with the iPad Pro. Okay, and in a small device, it does look a little small, I'll give it to you. And we are starting to push this bottom part a little bit. So I may want to revisit that 50 pixels here. Maybe make that a percent. Alright, so what do I mean by that? So right here I have this margin top on the UL. Alright, so maybe if I make that like 15%. Let's try 10%. Yeah, let's see how I'm starting to bring it up on the bottom. And then if I put it back into the 6 Plus, it still looks okay, right? Or if I do it in the Nexus, yeah, still looking okay. So like I said, I could play with those some more again to be perfect, but I think you get the general idea, okay? So what's the takeaway from this exercise? The takeaway is when you're doing a complex site, converting it for a mobile view using media queries, in essence, there are things that can come up that might not come up in the mobile design. I mean, in the web design, that come up in the mobile design, and that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so I hope you got something out of this exercise, and thank you very much.